Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Kim with Kim Montes Art Studio, and today we're going to be using our Daleroni and our Fabriano Aquarello paper. I'm just going to kind of free flow and create some type of abstract sort of painting that kind of ends up looking like a little bit of a landscape, a little bit more on the abstract side. This is also sort of a sketchy style painting. I don't consider this to be a finalized painting, but I wanted to kind of just get some art out. I've been struggling with finding time for art due to all the things that I have to do. So I'm going to be using the Derwent Color Soft, and I'm also going to use some of my Derwent drawing pencils that are very smooth and creamy. Some of them have a little bit of dust, I would say, but it depends on the color. I also plan to use the Tombow markers. These are water-based markers, and they work really well with watercolor. So this paper that I am using is a bit on the textured side, medium rough style, and I have a custom feeling to the Hanamula paper. I was really expecting it to act the same, but it doesn't. It acts very similar to the other paper that I mentioned, the Arches paper. So I kind of dealt with some of that texture feeling that this paper had acquired and just let that be part of the process. So I played around with just dropping a bunch of different colors, trying to be mindful of avoiding the landscape look, but that didn't happen, as I mentioned, and you'll see shortly. But I was just really paying attention to colors. I have to be honest, I was not intentionally making this into a landscape. I mean, it doesn't help that the layout of the paper is a landscape mode. So I was like, let me just pick different colors that kind of resemble something different. So I went with blues, pinks, and purples for a while. Then I water sprayed the page, and I like that texture that it helped to acquire. It also helped to absorb some more of the watercolor. So the reason why I like the Hanamula so much is because it's very absorbent and it doesn't dry out as fast. So this paper, not to say that this paper dries out really fast, but you can see how it like sucks up the color so fast and your brush becomes dry instantly. So it does kind of act as a sponge. It is doing what it's supposed to be doing, so that is a good thing about this paper, is that it acts the way it should. So you can either decide to moisturize the paper with a spray bottle or just use a bunch of water on your brush. So be mindful of the type of paper that you're playing with and using will affect the different styles of paintings that you're trying to acquire. So as you notice, I started my second layer of color and I wanted to build up the opacity of the color and the pigments and just starting to bring in some contrasting colors. So I layered over some of the pinks and then I started adding in some greens and I realized that that's when it starts to look like a landscape. So at that point, I just let things dry with my blow dryer and really try to make sure things were dry before I jumped into some of the Tombow markers. So these Tombow markers really help to bring out the saturation of the pigments that I was looking for. The only thing that I didn't like was the hard edge. I was really enjoying some of the bleed that was happening because I was trying to acquire an abstract image, and it sort of started to dive into more of that landscape imagery, but it was fine. I just kept going with it and I started to layer some Pentel brush water strokes on top of those Tombows to soften out the edges. So if you don't know, Tombows are water-based markers and they work really well with combining and mixing in with watercolor, and you can use them as sort of an opaque, really saturated watercolor to kind of help to acquire a color that you may or may not be realizing you're missing. And it helps with a deepness. So you can see here the green that I used was very sharp and opaque. So I wanted to kind of tone that down a bit. And I use this for just about almost every area of the Tombows. I use the Pentel brush so that it can soften up some of those hard edges. So you can even go in and create an entire watercolor painting with just the Tombows. That's how fun they are. I recommend using a lot of clean water and making sure that you have some good 100% cotton paper and really just go for it. The one thing you might notice is that it takes a little bit of more time to cover a surface with the Tombows, which is part of the reason why I did an underlay in my watercolor, because it's easier to cover much more. So then I move into my color pencil. At this point, I realized I should have kept on going with some of the watercolor, but again, this was just a sketch. It wasn't meant to be a finished piece. It was more so for fun, just so that I can really stay active in my art making. And I'm really trying to kind of help myself stay involved on YouTube. So creating these little fun small sketches that I could eventually use for a larger painting reference. This would be an amazing start to a painting that could be made in acrylic or maybe resized using watercolor paper. I'm not exactly sure how I would go forward with using the medium again, like meaning the size of the medium, whether that's wood, paper, canvas, or any of those. And then, as you know, I love kind of combining different mediums and having different textures come through. And these Derwent drawing and Derwent color soft pencils were perfect. So some of them are a bit crumbly, but the way they layer on each other helps to blend some of the crumble. And you'll see that shortly with a couple of the colors. So what I was trying to do here was to kind of avoid the landscape look, but there was nothing that I could do to kind of avoid that. Every time I see it, it looks like a little landscape. The water area is the blue, the green is the grass, and we have a fun, like purpley pink, yellow, orangey sunset sky. It's just in my nature. I was watching a video that inspired me to actually get this painting done. She's a new art YouTuber to me. Her name is Paul McGurdy, and she has some awesome sort of facts on painting when you're thinking that it's too late. So definitely check out her channel, Paula McGurdy. And the video that inspired me to do this painting was how to sell your art online. You're not too old and it's not too late. That's a really informative video and I loved her style. So subconsciously, I was kind of drawn to the pinks and greens and blues that she sort of pulls into the painting that she creates in that video. Some other fun things I wanted to mention. I just had an article release on me as an artist and getting to know me, and that lives in my website on my press tab, where I have another video that the owner of the gallery of the show that I was in over the summer has a brief sort of press interview, and my show portion of the show is in the beginning of that video and he mentions it. So if you're curious how that show looked, check out that tab on my website. And while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. Also, check out my Instagram. I haven't been too active on my Instagram. Same handle, kmontez_art. And follow me there. I haven't posted in a while. I am trying to get more active on that, but I have my TikTok as well. So check me out on all platforms. So I hope that you enjoy this little painting. This one was so much fun. Anytime I get a chance to really create something that's full of color, it just makes me so happy. Here's the final shots. I love the texture. At the end of the day, just creating and finding time for just one little 15-minute painting. This is all that art is about. So have fun, get creative, and thank you for watching. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.